everyone. Today with me for this podcast organized by the International Arts and Antiquities Security Forum, IAASF, there is Andy Davis, who is the Managing Director of Trident Manor and Chair of the International Arts and Antiquities Security Forum. Hello Andy, thank you very much for joining me today. I have a couple of questions for you. So first of all, I was thinking maybe some of the people who are listening to us, they're very familiar with IAASF, but there might be some people that don't know exactly what the organization does and what it is. So can you please explain us what it is, the IAASF?
Certainly. Well, the IAASF came about because one summer I was visiting stately homes and I was visiting lots of tourist sites in the UK. And I realised that in some places they didn't have the levels of security that we would expect elsewhere of museums. And when I researched, it's because there aren't the personnel, there isn't the funding. And so what I thought in 2016 was, why don't we actually create a forum, the opportunity for people who are not necessarily security experts or directly involved in security, but who need to understand how security can help them in their day-to-day jobs. And when we talk about security, it isn't just guarding, it's how to protect their assets, how to make sure they stay safe, and how to make sure they keep their visitors safe. And so it's on that basis that we established IAASF in 2016. And since that time, what we've done is continued to hold conferences, but also share information amongst colleagues around the world using social media.
I see. So it feels like I did look at the different accounts that you do have, so LinkedIn and Twitter, and you definitely have many followers. So I guess that especially when it comes to raise awareness of a specific topic as the protection of cultural heritage, I think using these tools that you currently have, your message got to be to a huge audience. So you do reach many people. So you're supporting different organizations.
Well, social media is a wonderful thing, but equally it can be a double-edged sword. The good thing about social media is you can share messages, share information with a wide audience around the world. So, for example, if somebody is in Africa and you want to share some information, somebody might have a new product or somebody might have a new way of operating, you can share that. But really, the fundamentals of the IAASF is about trying to hold a conference every year or every 2 years where we bring together people, so we get expert speakers from around the world. Unfortunately, this year, with it being impacted by COVID and travel restrictions, it's predominantly from the UK, but equally having delegates attend from around the world. And delegates, irrespective of the size of their venue or their organisation or their role within them, can come, can learn, and hopefully we're going to educate people about the threats that exist, the latest operational activities that people can undertake to help protect their assets, and also some of the latest technologies that exist, technologies and physical security measures, because in a cultural setting, these are very important. And certainly this year we've had some great response from exhibitors who want to support this particular event.
Okay, and then specifically on this that I would like to focus now, so on this conference that is coming up. So the dates for those who are listening to us and who might not be aware of this conference is the 23rd and 24th of June. And it's going to be a conference that is held in person in Darlington. So I was wondering, reading through the different programs and speakers, why you have decided to host the conference, especially during this difficult time, so during the pandemic, and also the importance of having it in person rather than online.
Yeah, it was a difficult decision. What we had thought about was hosting it last year. Nobody was aware of how much the COVID pandemic was going to impact or how long it was going to last. There was an opportunity, we thought, at the back end of last year, October time, that we would be able to host the event. And then those new variants were identified, and that made it more difficult. So we have rearranged it to this year. And when the British Prime Minister gave his roadmap out of the pandemic, or the release of the strict measures that were in place, the 21st of June was the final point where he decided that everything would be open. And what we're mindful of is that for over a year now, cultural and heritage sector have not been able to operate. They've not been able to generate income. Many of them have actually closed because they haven't been able to function and keep staff employed, etc., etc., etc. So the reason for this year's, or as was last year's conference, was to give them some support. We wanted to give this event for free for those who were directly involved, and I've got to say the support that's being given by the speakers, by the exhibitors, by the sponsors, been fantastic. Everybody is aware that this is for free. Everybody's aware that we're trying to help the cultural and heritage communities, and by helping them, hopefully they can understand some of the threats and risks that exist and how to help manage them. And you might say, well, why is this important? Well, it's important because what happened, all of those who've received training or have awareness from 2018, start of 2019, many of them are no longer in the cultural and heritage sector. Many of them have had to take jobs in other sectors. So unfortunately, we're left with a situation where there are going to be many people in these sectors, as they're about to open up to the public, who've received no training whatsoever, and really their levels of awareness are quite low. So by providing this event, and we keep it small key, we're very mindful of the continued impact of COVID. So we're taking astute COVID measures. We're monitoring and watching the different variants that are being produced. Obviously, at the moment, the Indian variant is of major concern, but we're confident that we can still host the event on the dates that we've identified.
Okay, so it sounds like you have considered also the current situation, so you have prepared like the risk management strategy in terms.
I think people would look and say, if he hadn't thought about risk management and hadn't been assessing the risks, somebody would say,
yeah, there's something missing, definitely. All right, so it feels like definitely a very important conference, worth attending, not just for heritage professionals, but also for security professionals. And this, I think, is one of the elements that, looking at the program, I think it really stands out. So the fact that you have, from one side, the people that have a specific background in heritage and related issues, and on the other, you have people that come from a security background. So it's really like how these two sectors can help and support each other.
Yeah, I mean, most people do come from the cultural and heritage background, and a smaller number come from the security background. But again, what I found that's really, really encouraging and very rewarding is the fact that professional security bodies, for example, the Security Institute of the UK, they've identified this, they've identified the important, and actually they've allocated continual professional development points for anybody who actually attends this program. So having that type of support from that type of organisation is really, really good, and it shows the worth and merit of hosting this event.
I was wondering, can you tell us a little bit more about the speakers of this year?
Yeah, well, obviously, like I said, we have COVID, and unfortunately that's going to directly impact on where we can draw the speakers from. There were certainly speakers from the Middle East, from Europe and from America who wanted to come this year, as they have done in previous years. So unfortunately, because of COVID, we're actually keeping it to UK speakers because it minimises their disruption. But that doesn't mean to say that the quality of the speakers has changed. What we've done is there are some speakers who are coming back because they are experts in their field. They are the ones who are working on a daily basis in understanding or designing protective measures. They are the ones who are working in law enforcement and understand the threats and impacts that that originate from organised crime groups. They're the ones who are academics who are working across the world to help prevent and minimise the looting of cultural artefacts that are happening globally, but they're also happening here, on a scale that I think we haven't seen in many, many years. Then we have people who are specialists in environmental protection of artifacts. So when we think about threats, it isn't just those adversarial threats, it's also the threats of damage caused by damp, water ingress, the climate. And then we have experts in security operations and how to build up protective layers. So all in all, the expertise that the speakers are providing is still fascinating, and it's still excellent quality, where people are going to learn new things, or if they've previously been at different presentations, they're going to be refreshed as to what's current now and how the best ways in which they can play a part in protecting the cultural assets.
Yes, indeed, because I guess especially in this field is one of those that you constantly have study and research going on. So, and also the best practices, they keep changing. So like every year, literally, you can have a conference and you can learn every time new elements and new aspects when it comes to the protection of cultural heritage.
I hope it doesn't change every year, but the principles are the same, but we have to keep abreast of all new and technology does change that quickly. So there are new things coming onto the market, but there are new standards that are applicable. There are new laws and regulations that come into play that impact not just here in the UK but globally as well.
Yeah, and I guess like another question I have is why the northeast of the UK for the conference?
So the very first IAASF event was held in the Baltic, believe it or not. That's not the seas. That's the Baltic flour mill on the banks of the River Tyne, and that was a success. Because of COVID, because of the travel restrictions and everything else, we wanted to bring it to an area where there's easy access, but also the surrounding area of the northeast. There is so much culture, heritage, from castles, from museums, from galleries, from the open countryside, from the beautiful coastal areas. I'm proud to be from the northeast, and I'm happy to bring people back to our area where hopefully they can share, even if it's fleetingly, some of the treasures that we have, because I think for too long we've been a hidden treasure, unless you watch The Last Kingdom, and Bamborough Castle is, everybody wants to go to Bamborough Castle now.
Yes, I've actually been one of them, so I can fit into the category. But also, because now you have just mentioned that of previous editions of this conference, I was wondering, what are going to be the major differences this year?
Yeah, well, we are still in the throes of a pandemic, and as part of our design strategy, right from the outset, is being mindful of COVID restrictions that exist, but also the health and safety of speakers, our staff, and also any delegates who arrive. And so we've been mindful. We've kept the limitation on numbers at 60. Even if everything's relaxed further, I think for peace of mind of everybody involved, we want to keep it at about that number. And we've planned and worked with the venue. I've got to say the McHugh Hotel, King's Hotel in Darlton, have been a great help, because they've given their time, effort, energy, and their hall, the grand ballroom, should I say? It's not a hall. Free of charge, because they believe in what we're doing, and they want to be seen to support in the cultural and heritage sectors. So the layout has considered the health and safety and COVID aspects, as has any socialising, as has the exhibit stands. So that's a primary difference. So firstly, we've kept the numbers small. That doesn't mean to say that the quality is going to be, there's going to be a smaller number of delegates, so that people who may have concerns can be rest assured that we've taken steps to keep up to date with the government's advice and guidance, but maybe it's gone a bit beyond to ensure the safety and integrity of all attendees who are going to be there.
This is amazing also because I guess that many people might still have some concerns. So despite the current deadline for the lifting of all restrictions is the 21st of June, but still there might be some concerns of people that the situation might change and new variants might come in as well.
Yeah, I mean, we do have, there are still delegates from Europe who are hoping to travel, and I hope they can still travel as well. But with the fluidity of the situation with the pandemic, with different countries and nations having their own rules, it has been a difficult decision. Hopefully everything will continue on this downward slope and people will become more relaxed by the time of the 23rd. That they're going to be happy and willing to attend without that concern, or we're able to actually put their mind at rest that we've taken appropriate steps for them to be safe during this event.
Okay, perfect. So thank you very much, Andy, for all the information you have provided me today. And for those who are listening to us, definitely I would say if you haven't done it yet, go and register via Eventbrite, the conference. It seems it's going to be very promising and an enjoyable experience. Thank you very much for watching us today. See you the next time.